Okay, welcome all for the International Week. Today we're going to have a presentation about Dutch culture and fun facts. We are right now with 3 students from the Netherlands. They are going to do the presentation and their names are Joep Reenstra, Floris de Roy, and Tico Campos. Thank you guys, and please go ahead.
First of all, thank you, Ellen, for inviting us, because we love to talk about the country, of course. Today, I, with my peers, Floris and Jouke, and myself, Tico, are going to tell you something about the Netherlands. We're going to try to educate you further and learn you something today. The topics we're going to discuss today are an introduction about ourselves, context of the Netherlands, that you understand it better. Also, your first Dutch words, what might come in handy, and also how to connect with Dutch people, because they can maybe be difficult in some ways. Furthermore, what you should eat, and Dutch festive days and parties. Also, what a Dutch university schedule looks like, so you know what to expect, where to go, and what you will absolutely love, what you will absolutely hate, some fun facts, and of course we'll end with a Q&A. So, Jouke,
I'll tell a little bit about myself. Well, I was born in a small town. You can see that on the right side. From above, it looks quite interesting, but when you live there, it's not that special because it's really small. There's not that much to do. But yeah, I study international business, and I really like doing sports in the cold. So a few days before I went to Colombia, I was lucky that we could go ice skating in my little village. And afterwards, we also went skiing. You can see me doing a casual jump. And yeah, these are really things I love to do. I love the cold, so that's probably the thing I miss most while being here.
My name is Floris. I'm 20 years old and I'm living in Veghel. It's a small town in the southern part of the Netherlands. As you can see there, it's one of the 12 provinces. And you can see Veghel on the right side between Den Bosch and Eindhoven. I'm currently studying international business as well in Breda. It's another city in the southern of the Netherlands. I like to play field hockey, as it's the second most popular sport in the Netherlands. And lastly, I support PSV Eindhoven. They're currently second in the domestic football league. And, yeah, it's closest by, so everyone will love it in my area. Well, thank you, Floris. I'm going to tell something now about myself. My name is Tico Campos. I'm 20 years old. I was born and raised in Utrecht. I went through high school, to primary school, enjoyed my time here. But then it was time to move on and to go to higher education. Then, for me, I really like international business. Therefore, I'm now a third-year student and doing currently my exchange here at UPB. I'm also trying to improve my Spanish with Spanish lessons. Like I said, I'm studying as well in Breda. This is a lovely city in the south with a lot of nice people, and yeah, it's a fun city. What I like to do in my free time is to go to the gym, go to festivals, and enjoy time with family and friends.
Okay, so it's probably a good idea to start with a bit of context about the Netherlands. You can see all these colors. There are 11 different provinces. So yeah, these are all quite small. You can see North Holland over here, the purple one. That's where Amsterdam is located. I live personally here in Flevoland. You might notice that it looks like an island. That's because it is sort of an island, and we made it ourselves because we thought the Netherlands wasn't big enough. So we just put an extra part there. What's also interesting is that the Netherlands is really small. Does anybody know how long it would take to drive from the north of south of Colombia? Would you, how much would you guess?
3 days.
3 days? Yeah, well, in the Netherlands, if you're lucky, you can do it in about 4 hours. But if you want to take the fun route, you of course go through Germany, because there's no speed rules in Germany. So you can go as fast as you want. And yeah, in the Netherlands it's quite boring, so I would take the grey route. Oh, you might also wonder what these hearts are for. There's some free parking spots in the Netherlands, so if you want them, make sure to hit me up later. Now, here you can see our flag. There's a sack on top of it. That is because when people graduate from high school, this is sort of the celebration we do. We put out our flag, sort of the pride that your son or your daughter has graduated.
So now I'll tell you about
Your first Dutch words.
which may come in handy, as these are the basics. It might be good to know them. So firstly, to say hola or hello, you would say hello. Is someone there to want to try it?
Hello.
Hello, yeah, exactly. So it's very similar to the English, but it comes to handy if you want to need it. Secondly, what's your name, or yeah, como te llamas? You would say who hate you. Someone else want to try it?
Can you repeat that?
Who hate you?
Who
Hate?
who ate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who ate
you? Yes, exactly. That's what's your name. And then thirdly, ¿cómo estás? Means how are you? And then hoe gaat het? Someone else want to try it? Hoe gaat het? Yeah, exactly. And then lastly, ¿dónde está? So when you want to ask directions to any area, you would say waar is, and then you say the place. For example, waar is Amsterdam? Someone want to try it? Waar is, and not Amsterdam. Now I will tell you about our street language.
Yeah, because of course some casual Dutch words are quite handy, but if you want to make some friends, you also need to know a bit of the local language. Well, here you have the parlatje, but in the Netherlands we have the street language. So for example, if you want to ask how somebody is doing, you say fakka. It's quite easy. Then if you want to say vámonos, you want to go somewhere, you say waka. But now it gets a bit more difficult, because if you have a headache or somebody is giving you a headache, you say, this guy is giving me a snoe. That's really Now this is an important one, the next one. If you want to swear something, you say voila. You can use it with everything, and it's also, everybody uses it out of context, and yeah, it's quite important because you can just put it after any sentence. Now also, parce is probably the most important one. In Dutch we say niffo.
Now I'm going to tell you something more about how to connect with Dutch people. Firstly, we really appreciate it if you're an open book and are honest. Also, we are very direct, so don't feel weird if people can ask direct questions or be really direct to you. Also, don't diss our country. Take it with a pinch of salt. Of course, we can handle a joke. Thirdly, be open-minded, because we have a country with a lot of religions, a lot of people from different countries, and we're quite liberal on many fronts, and therefore it's good to be open-minded. Also, to be curious, because curiosity always gets rewarded, and therefore you can really get to know the Dutch people and our culture. And fifthly, contribute to Dutch society. As you may all know, there are a lot of tourists in Colombia. Well, we have them as well in the Netherlands, and we all not always like them as much. So please, if you just do normal, it will all be fine. And yeah. Also, learn a language. It's not really important because most people in the Netherlands speak really proficient English. So if you speak English, you will handle quite fine. But it's always nice to learn a few words, just as Jouke and Floris try to learn you just now. And also go to events and get common interests with the Dutch people. You can find like-minded people, make friends, and yeah, get to know the culture further. And lastly, invite Dutch people to your home, because they always like it to get to know you and your culture. And you can build long-lasting friendships out of that.
So what do we eat? So we have very different kind of food from the rest of the world. So I'll tell you about the breakfast we normally have. So it's very common to just take a slice of bread and put several toppings on it. So for example, these chocolate sprinkles, they're called hagelslag. It's very good. It may seem a bit weird, but if you're in the Netherlands, you should really try it because it's very good. It's also very common to put cheese on it or just ham. It seems a bit weird, but it's very good if you want to try it. And then you have a bit of variation on it as well. So if you, for example, put cheese and ham on your bread and you put it in the toaster, you get it all melted, and it's called tosti. You can see it on the right top. It's also very good with salsa de tomate or curry. Curry is a variation of ketchup together with some more pepper. Then you have a stroopwafel. So after the breakfast, it's very common to have a cup of coffee together with the stroopwafel. And a cup of coffee is normally not with that much of water, but just so the beans. Then you have also havermout. It's some kind of oat you take together with milk or with water, and you can also put fruits in it. It's a very healthy breakfast, so if you want to be healthy, of course, you try it. And yeah, here you see the coffee, and yeah, now Jacob will tell you about our dinner.
Okay, so now if you don't know what to eat, this is probably the most important one. You can also make this for breakfast or lunch, or if you're hungry at any point. These are the pancakes, the real Dutch ones. They taste a lot better than the Americans or any other. And yeah, if you don't know what to eat, go for these ones. Now, if you want to go a bit more special, this is a dish from the old cuisine. This is a stampot, and it's essentially some vegetables with potato and sausage, which taste both really good and really bad. So you should try it and see if you like it. Then here, you might find this doesn't look like the other things. That's because this is more an Indonesian dish, but yeah, we have sort of a combined history. So we took some of their dishes, and now it's also part of the Dutch culture. Then, now who wants to try this? Doesn't look good, eh? No. Well, I also think every time when I look at it, I don't want to eat this. But when you try it, it's actually really good. It's a soup with peas, and yeah, you can't really describe it. It's just you need to taste it because it looks disgusting. Just take a bite. Then, this is probably the most typical Dutch meal when you don't really know what to make, or you don't have time, or don't want to cook. You just make some vegetables, you cook some potatoes, and we make a ball with ground beef. And yeah, it's not that good, but it's quite simple, so we make it quite often.
Then I'm going to tell you about the most important part. These are the late night snacks. You can see here something that maybe looks a bit strange. You have kind of snack bars, little chendas in the Netherlands. You can find them on stations and in the centers of cities. You can put money in the wall and you get a hamburger out of the wall. So it's really fast. You also have like Dutch snacks like croquettes, frikandellen, French fries. So it's really amazing. Then we have another really special Dutch dish. When you're walking in the city at 3 a.m. At night, when you just went out to the club and you still have some hunger, this is really one of the best options you can take. It has maybe a bit of strange translation to English. It's called the hairdresser, and that is because it was made by a hairdresser in the Netherlands. It's a Turkish dish combined with Dutch ingredients, so you can't find it in Turkey or any other country, only in the Netherlands. It's basically fries with cheese, with kebab, I don't know if you know it, and with salad, and you also have spicy sauce with it, with garlic sauce. Then this is something we eat for like in front of the TV or at social gatherings like parties. It's a wooden plate, and we call it a kaasplank. It has cheese on it, ham on it, Dutch worstbroodjes, and Dutch snacks like bitterballs. We really enjoy this, and this is a thing what we eat in front of the TV on a lazy Sunday, or just like I said, on a social gathering like a party. Then you see here the cheese, the Gouda cheese. I don't know if you're familiar with it. However, the cheese here that is called Gouda is a lot different than in the Netherlands. It's a lot better in the Netherlands, so you should really try it. And then lastly, we also really like deep fried snacks. So as you can see, you won't find empanadas, but you will find cheese sticks, little chicken nuggets, little frikandelles, and nasi balletjes. You'll find them in the Netherlands at social gatherings, so I would say try them because they are really good.
All right. Now I will talk about some of our special days in the Netherlands and how we like to party. Well, I start with the most urgent one because this one takes place tomorrow. So if you want to go, you should book your plane ticket now because this is King's Day. Tomorrow, this man, this is our king, has his birthday, and essentially the whole country parties for him. Well, we say we party for him, but it's actually just a good reason to party for ourselves. You can see there's some festivals and everybody dresses up in orange. There's also people who just go on the street to start a party. This is in Amsterdam. People go on boats and the whole city becomes just one big feast. You can also see this especially more for the children. They go on the streets, they sell some of their old toys or clothes or whatever is left in the house, and they sell this on the streets, and everybody just parties in their own way here. So that's quite exciting.
Then,
How do you go about this? I have a question. What's the festival of the labs?
it's called King's Day.
And about music,
Well, there's no reggaeton. Usually there's some different stands, and you can find house, sometimes rap. It also depends a bit on who's coming. But yeah, it's usually festivals have different styles.
Okay, then I'm going to tell you something about Sinterklaas. It's a bit similar to Santa Claus from America. I don't know if you're familiar with it. As you can see on the top left corner, that is pepernoten, a real typical Dutch candy snack, what will be handed out during that time. Then on the right top you see Santa Claus on the left and one of his feet on the right. And then the story is that Santa Claus comes every year on the 18th of November to the Netherlands with a boat from Spain. And they bring presents with them for children, and the children set their shoe in front of the chimney every night, and they put a little present for the horse of Santa Claus, or some food, some cookies, something to drink. And then the parents put like a chocolate ladder or small presents in their shoe. Of course, the children don't know that it is fake, but they learn that when they're like 10, 11, 12. However, it is maybe a bit controversial. I don't know, maybe you've heard of it in the news. That is because it's a dynamic feast, and that's changing now. That's because the helpers of Santa Claus have darker skin color. However, the story goes that they get a darker skin color because they go through the chimneys to give the presents to the children. However, that's changing now, so you have kids who have rainbow paint on their face or half painted, like you can see on the picture. So it's a dynamic party and it's currently changing.
So now I will tell you about, in my opinion, the most fun party in the Netherlands. It's only celebrated in the south part, and it's carnival. It's called Carnival. I think you all know what Carnival is, but we kind of celebrate it differently. So as you can see, most people go out on the street, and there are a lot of parades with their own made wagons with weird buildings on it. You go 5 days crazy and just wear as crazy as you want it. It's also a phenomenon that every city or town is called differently during these times. So for example, Den Bosch is called Oeteldonk. And as you can see during these days, there's also a different mayor for every town, and he's dressed up like this, as you can see, with a weird hat. And he is then in those 5 days the boss of the town. And he leads all the parties, he makes speeches and all those things. You can see me on the right there. And it's quite a fun party. So if you're ever in the Netherlands, go to the south during these times and celebrate it as well.
Then I'm going to tell you something more about festivals. You all, I think you know, they are also here in Colombia. However, in the Netherlands, you can say that every weekend, every day, there are multiple festivals where you can go. Especially during the months from May to August, it is a festival season, and that means there are especially a lot of festivals. mostly have house and techno, but they also have other genres of music. It is a place where all different people from around the world come, and I've been there also to a few festivals. I like them a lot because the vibe is really good there, everybody's really friendly, and it's like old people, young people, and everybody has just a fun time. I don't know if somebody is familiar with ADE, Amsterdam Dance Event. No? Okay, well, it's a world famous week, it's in October. There are more than 400 house and techno parties in Amsterdam during that week, and people from all over the world come there. We also have a lot of famous house and techno artists, as well as hardstyle and EDM. Think of Martin Garrix, Hardwell, Armin van Buuren, Charlotte de Witte, Emily Dance, Adam Beyer, Bart Skills, you name them. Yeah.
All right, so now just on a casual day out, you're gonna need some other words. Well, the most important one is to order a beer. So yeah, this is quite a difficult task in the Netherlands because there's probably 1,000 different ways. So I just took the most easy one. So if you just wanna order a beer quickly, you should say één biertje graag. Who wants to try?
Can you go again?
Eén biertje graag. Biertje.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. I think you'll understand. Okay, so now, yeah, this is really just a starter, but if you get good at it, you can also do sign language, you can say it in different ways. So yeah, this takes a lot of practice. Then we have the Vrij Nibo. This means the Friday afternoon drinks. This is just after work, you go with some colleagues, or after school or university, you go with some friends. Yeah, you just go for some drinks, and it's really not that special, but it's always a fun time. Then it's really common to do a pub crawl, which in Dutch is a kroegentocht. And here we just go from one bar to the next one. You can see there's a lot of nice terraces, so often we sit outside when the weather's nice, and we just try a beer at every place. Because as you can see, there's a wide variety of beers. This place has around 15 different ones, all on tap. So yeah, we just like to discover new ones and discover new tastes. So and you have like an infinite possibility. So yeah, you should really do this because the beers are amazing.
It is true that most people think that Heineken is like a famous beer in the Netherlands, but most people don't drink it there.
Oh, nobody drinks Heineken. You only do only you drink Heineken. No, it's you can drink it, but usually if you drink it, it's probably at a party or somewhere where it's there and there's not really anything else.
So what can be the most Dutch beer you normally drink there?
That's a really controversial question. I really like Brand, which is a smaller brand, but yeah, this is really also a personal taste because some are quite strong, some are softer. So yeah, and there's thousands of them also from Belgium and from Germany. So yeah, this is something you should really try yourself.
Now I'll tell you about Dutch University and its schedule. So it's very important to know that before you go to university, the level of education is decided by your college performance. So you have two kinds of universities in the Netherlands. One is called University of Applied Sciences, and one is called University. It's quite a difference. So, for example, you see these classes, it's the same as here, around 20 to 30 people, but it's mostly only on the University of Applied Sciences, because in the university itself, it's very common to just have one big hall, and one teacher has speeches around 1 hour, between 1 hour and 2 hours, to the whole study. So everyone has his own responsibility to go, so it's not compulsory to go to these speeches, as well as these classes is also not compulsory, so it's all your own responsibility. And that's a very good thing to know, that everything is your own responsibility. So for example, resisting for exams is very important. You can't come 1 second later your exam, otherwise you should resit it and you can't make it. You should also bring your ID or passport. So if you can't identify yourself, you are not allowed to make the exam, and you should do it another time. And there's also places like there to like public libraries or public spaces where you can just study, work on your own, do your own stuff. And it's very great to work on there because you can focus really well. And
This is the university I go to. You might notice that there's not 25 buildings there, like here, but this is the building for the studies I do, and then if you go in a different direction, usually it's a different building and it can be on a whole other place. So yeah, it's really smaller size, and for example, we don't have a building for a library, but there's also a bit less people, so that's a bit smaller, and yeah, sort of for you, it's a micro university.
Then I'm going to tell you something more about the student life in the Netherlands. Like I said before, I moved to Breda. I did this when I was 18. Maybe you get scared from this, it's quite normal in the Netherlands. So I went from Utrecht to Breda, it's 2 hours away from each other. There in the middle you can see a typical student house. They can fill up to 20 people full of students. Mostly you have guys go with guys and women go with women. However, you also have mixed houses, it depends. Here you can see a typical Dutch student kitchen. You see some beer crates up there, not that tiny and not that big. And however, you also have student unions. Only this is more for Dutch people because you do it during your school career. People do this to have a fun time during their studies and also to build up their network and to learn things and to further educate themselves.
All right, so now I will talk about some of the places to go in the Netherlands. I will start with the best area, which is Friesland. This is where most of my family is from. I don't live there because I live in the island. But yeah, this is really a beautiful place. There's not that much to do there, but it has a lot of old cities. So for example, Lemmer is a nice old village to visit. You can also go sailing. There's a lot of, it's the province with the most water in other the Netherlands. And yeah, there's a lot of lakes. You can go sailing. Maybe you're gonna need some classes first. But these are really fun things to do, especially when the weather is nice and you have a free weekend. But the most fun part of Friesland are the islands. If you look on top, you can see the 4 islands in red. Those are also part of the province. And yeah, this island, they have beautiful nature. There's not that much there. And it's really fun to just rent a bicycle, drive around. There's not that much you can do, but it's a really fun experience because the islands are beautiful. They look like nothing else in the Netherlands. And the beaches are also really nice.
Then I'm going to tell you something about my own province and town, that is Utrecht, as you can see on the right bottom. So like you can hear, it is a province, Utrecht, and also a city that's called Utrecht. I am personally from Utrecht city center. This is a typical photo of the city center. You have a lot of shops there, bars, restaurants, you can do a lot of things, and it's really a live city. Then we also have the canals. They go throughout the city and further. You can walk past them, and this is a really nice experience to see all parts of the town because not all of them are in the center. Then you here have the railway museum. This is because Utrecht is in the middle of the country. This means all the railways come together here. You have a train station with 28 train tracks where you can get on the train. And you have the railway station, and what I like the most about it is that you have a little train. Well, it's actually for little people, but Colombians are not that big, so maybe you can sneak in as well. Then we have the Dom Tower. It's really iconic. It's a big tower. You can climb it and have a great view over the city. And furthermore, you have the Rietveld Schröder house. This is a famous architect, and this was his house he made. As you can see on the left, it's in a residential area, so a lot of tourists go there. I've never been there, however. But the fun fact about that is that always when I went to football practice, when I was younger with my friends and teammates, we met up before this Rietveld Schröder house. And in addition to that, a good friend of mine lives 20 meters from there. Then here you have the botanical gardens. This is at the university. You have a science park. It's not really a campus. You have there university buildings, a beautiful botanic garden, and as well as you can see, one of the buildings is Cambridge Laan. So if you're going to study in Utrecht, or going to live there, you're probably going to live there because a lot of internationals live there and it's a great place to meet new people. Then furthermore, behind the science park you have Bunnik. This is a cute little village. You have rivers there and you can take walks. It's really nice and to do on your weekends. And furthermore, you also have there a big grass field where young people from the Netherlands during the summer months go there to swim, to come together, listen to music and to have fun. So if you want to interact with the local Dutch youngsters, then you should go to Bunnik. Then we have in the province the pyramid of Austerlitz. It looks a little bit like a Mayan temple. However, this was built by the Romans, so it's not as old as the Mayans, but it's nice to visit. Then lastly we have Hemschotermeer. It's man-made, it has white sand, quite good water, and it's nice to cool off during the summer. A lot of local Dutch people go there, and it's easily reached by public transport.
Okay, so now a little bit about North Holland. This is the place where Amsterdam is located, so yeah, you'll probably visit that because it's the capital. It's a nice old city, so it's interesting to visit. And it's also the place where I go to university. Then there's, for example, Alkmaar, you can see there, which is even older. And yeah, it's famous for its cheeses, and it has a big cheese market, so you can still visit that. But it's now mostly a tourist attraction. Then you can see Naarden. This is an old siege town. This has never been conquered because it was so creatively designed, but it also has never been attacked, so maybe that's the reason. But this is just a nice old village to visit, and it's yeah, it really looks quite traditional still. Then there's the Rijksmuseum. This is the biggest museum of the Netherlands. It's really interesting because the building is really large and it's a beautiful building on its own. And there's really popular paintings there. So yeah, it's worth a visit, especially when you're in Amsterdam by any chance. Now, we go to South Holland. We'll start by this area. This is Madurodam. You might wonder how these people are so big that they're as big as the houses. But actually the houses are quite small because this is sort of a miniature version of all the famous places in the Netherlands. This is also quite popular for Dutch people to visit, and you can just see a small version of the Netherlands, if it wasn't small enough yet. Now here, you just have Rotterdam, which is the capital of South Holland. This is the newest city because it was completely bombed in the Second World War, and it was completely rebuilt. So usually all these cities are quite old, but Rotterdam is really new, so that's also why it's completely different and worth a visit. Now here, this is the Children's Dike. This is also a nice place because there's a lot of windmills and nature. So yeah, there's not that much to do, but it's really touristy because of the old windmills. And here we have at Keukenhof. This is probably the most famous place. I've never been there.
Me neither.
Oh yeah, well, Dutch people don't really go there, but you should go there because all tourists go. And it should be really beautiful because there's thousands of flowers and yeah, it's a traditional garden.
So then, once again, the most fun part of the Netherlands, Brabant. So this is the flag of Brabant. It has its own one with the red and the white squares. It's completed with a lot of big towns. So for example, Breda, where we study, Tilburg, Eindhoven, and Den Bosch, the capital. Yeah, so it's one of the biggest provinces to visit, so there are a lot of places as well. As I mentioned before, Carnival is celebrated there, so this is again in Den Bosch, Oeteldonk, they call during that time. So everyone needs to wear their colors, so red, white and yellow. And the fun fact is, if you don't wear these colors, you can't enter anywhere during these times. Then once again, PSV, it's the most popular club in the south, and if you want to visit the game, it's very recommended because it's very fun. And then lastly, as you may know or may not know, there's a movie about Brabant. These are the stereotypes of the rest of the Netherlands have about Brabant people with very weird accents and all of those. It's called New Kids. They have 2 movies. So if I would recommend the movie, you should really visit this one. And then lastly, worstbroodje. It's the most famous dish of Brabant. It's just a sausage completed with a bun into the oven and then you normally take it with salsa de tomate as well. And I would really recommend it after you take a dinner or in front of the TV.
All right, now some things you will love. Well, it's the mobility in the country is really good. You can go through the city to most places by bike because there's a lot of bike lanes. It's really safe, and usually bikes go in front of cars. So yeah, really most cities are built on bikes, and it's usually the fastest way to go around the city. Then you can also take the train. There's railways through all of the country, so you can go to pretty much any place in less than 2 hours. And yeah, this is also a really quick way to go from city to city. Then you can also see the highways. I'm not sure you will be able to secure a car there, but if you have the chance to drive, you can see all the highways here. They connect all the cities, and this is really convenient because, again, you can go everywhere really fast. But if you want to have some fun, I would suggest you take this highway, go straight to Germany, because again, it's a lot more fun to drive in Germany.
Then, what you absolutely hate. Now, as you can see, arepas, we don't have them. So eat as many as you can before you leave. Then, other things you will really hate is housing. Currently, we are in a housing crisis, so that means that you pay really a lot, and especially when you're a foreign student. Yeah, we know a lot of international students who pay way more than Dutch people, so really look out for that, because yeah, you can really get gringo priced. And furthermore, you have a lot of scams, so don't pay money in advance, and because therefore, yeah, a lot of scams happen with that, especially with foreign students. Furthermore, the cost of living is really expensive. To give you a kind of an example, 1 kilo of chicken is around 70,000 pesos. So that's a kind of indicator of how expensive the country is. And furthermore, the weather. I don't know if anybody here has ever seen snow in real life. Yeah. Now, in the Netherlands, you'll definitely see that during the winter months. As you can see, there will be snow on the streets, and especially watch out, because during the nights, if it freezes, it's really slippery and you will definitely fall, so watch out. However, the Dutch government puts salt on the streets, and therefore, yeah, the snow and ice melts. However, this is not on residential streets, only on like public streets to yeah, get from the biggest places. Then a fun fact, I don't know if we have coffee lovers here. Well, for your example, what do you order or what do you get when you go to a coffee shop?
Normally I order like Americano, or something with Starbucks.
Okay, well, watch out in the Netherlands, because a coffee shop is kind of different from here. You can get meat there. However, it's kind of a strange story, because you can go in there legally, buy and pay with your card. They pay taxes and everything. However, and it's legal to have on you when you're on the street up until 5 grams if you get stopped by a police officer. However, the part of growing the weed and bringing it to the shop is illegal, so it's kind of a gray area.
All right, now, as I said, we also really love our cheese. The average Dutch person eats around 17 kilos of cheese, so that's quite a lot. I think that's mainly because I am a bit above that. So yeah, we also export a lot of cheese. We're the biggest cheese exporters in the world. What is kind of sad is that not a lot ends up in Colombia, and it's really hard to find some Dutch cheeses.
It's also very common to see bikes everywhere. I think I can mention the street without any bikes on it. Everyone goes by bike, there are even bike lanes on every road. So if you want to get to the city easily, you should definitely take a bike. We also have big places you can see here where you can store your bike. However, they always take a picture to where you put your bike, otherwise you can't find it anymore.
And in addition to that, we have more bikes in the Netherlands than people. Then,
Yeah, some quick tips. Yeah, this is a list with a lot of Dutch names, so that might be a bit annoying. But we have an app for public transport. It's called 9292, and you can find all the times there. If you want to know the weather, you can go to Buienradar, and you're always sure if it's going to rain or not. Then, if you find yourself a car, you should download the app Flitsmeister. It has all the speed cameras, the policemen, they're all in the app. You can also find the speed limits, and I always drive this and I've never got a speeding ticket, so I think it's quite effective. Then, if you want to do groceries, go to little Turkish or Moroccan supermarkets, which have a lot of fresh products and are usually cheaper. Or go to supermarkets like the Aldi, Lidl, or Dirk, because the Albert Heijn and the Jumbo are really expensive.
Furthermore, maybe you're used to getting a taxi here. In the Netherlands, this is really expensive, so please avoid them. And also, public transport goes all night, or take a bike if you stay within the city. Also, safety at night is totally no issue, so you can go alone over streets, you won't get robbed or anything. Also, if you need cheap furniture or clothes when you just arrive in the Netherlands, go to a kringloopwinkel, they have second-hand stuff, or the app Marktplaats, where people sell for a really low price the things they don't need anymore. Also useful shops are the HEMA, Blokker, Xenos, MediaMarkt and IKEA. And if you want to get food delivered, you can use the app Thuisbezorgd. However, it's not as cheap as Rappi, so maybe think about that twice. And also, of course, the apps Google Translate and Google Maps. If you're planning to go to the Netherlands, it's maybe useful to make a picture of these tips, because they can come in really handy.
All right, so now, are there any questions left about the Netherlands?
I want to know what most people say that the Netherlands from the happiest countries in Europe. I personally have experienced the same, and I think that it can be related to the word gezelligheid. So I don't know what you think.
Gezelligheid.
It's a common word we say in Brabant, in the Brabant side, talks all the time about. It's very common that a lot of people meet up and just have fun together. So indeed, Brabant's gezelligheid, it's called that. It's definitely true.
Yeah, it's really a kind of thing, because you have like beneath the river, that's Brabant, and above the river, that's like where most cities are. And I come from above the river, and I really, when I came to Breda, into Brabant, I was really shocked by the Brabantse gezelligheid, because people are like extra friendly, just like Paisa. And yeah, gezelligheid is not really translatable. It is like, yeah, having a nice time, it's good vibes, like that. You can't really translate it well to English.
We have a very important question. I think that our people in Colombia said like, don't understand the difference between Holland and the Netherlands. So a lot of time when we like make reference to the Netherlands, we say Holland. So can you explain like the main difference between the Netherlands?
Yeah, Holland is quite common because it's an old word. And you could see that we have South Holland and North Holland, which are the two provinces, and all the ports are there. So in the past, when you would do trade with the Netherlands, you'd usually do it with Holland. That's why other countries know it as Holland. But yeah, for example, we all live in other provinces than Holland, and therefore we like to call it the Netherlands, because yeah, Holland is actually only a small part of the country.
What's your favorite word in Spanish?
Spanish?
Yeah, in Spanish. Or in Dutch? Or in both?
I don't know, maybe pasta.
And in Dutch.
Maat. It's translated to mate.
It's also a form of a partial, but they say it in Breda.
And yeah, mine would be, I think, ouwe. It means like, literally translated old man, but you say it like, let's get some drinks, ouwe, like that. And my most favorite Spanish word, I think is like que pena or something.
Yeah, I don't really know. I really like fuck up, because it's the easiest way. It's a quick, and it's quite logical, because when you say, for example, ¿qué tal?, then there's not really a logical response. And with fuck, I say, yeah, it's good. So yeah, that's probably my favorite word. If it's Spanish, I don't know, it's probably guaro.
Why?
See.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. It was a really interesting presentation. And we hope that we're having a good time here in UPB and in
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have any leftover questions, you can always hit on my email or my WhatsApp. You can find it here.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you all for listening.